Hey guys, it's Nerd After Hours. We're back again, and we got a whole list of new topics. And I think we're gonna talk about something that happened earlier today that was kind of wild. Carissa missed it, so we're gonna talk about that. But before we get into that, I want to remind you guys. You guys could leave us topics to talk about in the in the comments section. I only speak English sometimes. The rest of the time, it's gibberish and bullshit. So, make sure you guys do that. It's kind of fun to make Carissa, say one of her catchphrases every time we have to talk about something nerdy that she's not familiar with, like Animorphs.
I have catchphrases now?
Yeah. Whenever we talk about something that's like nerdy, that's in the guy, that's very like violent, you just boy shit.
Okay.
I swear, if we ever make merch for this podcast, that needs to be a shirt.
Boy shit.
Boy shit. and the avatar just needs to be like an anime version of you that's just frustrated, like looking at like a transformer or something.
Boy shit.
Just boy shit.
There you go. Would it be like really egotistical to wear a shirt that's a picture of yourself around?
If it's an anime version of you, I mean, depending on how long ago it was, like, it may not be.
Don't eat the camera, silly boy.
I mean, like, think about it. Like, if you're wearing the shirt for 5 years when your hair's, like, rainbow colored and down to your mid of your back, then it won't matter because the anime version will look like you now. So, how egotistical is it really?
Oh, I was just making a joke anyways. I feel like that's like something where it's like that gray area where it's like, are you supposed to do that? Stop eating things that are not meant to be eaten. Sir, we're gonna chill.
Is that Polka Dot?
That's Polka Dot. I have my purse here because I'm trying to take care of some paperwork and I have my little notes and stuff in there and he's just like eating it. And it's like, sir, you already broke my cords. Please don't break my strap as well. It'd be great.
Children. Am I right?
Children. Lucky they're cute. I've been pooping in my clean laundry and everything.
Oh, that sucks.
Been bad.
On the art topic, though, I was just going to say, I thought I was just kidding, too, because you've had your hair, like, in so many different colors, so, I mean,
I'm trying to dedicate to letting it be healthy and letting, like, colorful hair just be a wig thing, because I feel like it's just, like, so much upkeep to keep it colorful, and I really love all my natural dark hair, and I kind of am ready to kind of get back to my roots, per se. So, but who knows? I could feel completely different in another 5 years from now and be like, oh, I'm sick of this, But yeah, I usually have pretty colorful hair, but I feel like I'm getting towards the end of my manic stage.
I think you're going to go full, like, anime girl and just be like, that's it. I'm getting bright blue hair.
I've done that before. I've done, like, bright orange and stuff. I'm just kind of like, I'm just kind of done, Did that.
For now.
I've got wigs and stuff, I've got multiple other colors to choose from, just,
Mm-hmm.
I like.
Hey, I'm not judging. I'm just making jokes,
Yeah.
Anyway. Alright, I guess we should hop into the big topic that's going to be on here is the Facebook, Instagram, and like a few of their other apps had a crash today. And Carissa missed the entire thing. You just like,
sleeping.
Yeah, no, you woke up and you were like, oh, that happened? That's like the funniest part of the story for me.
I was just getting Mickey D's with Carolyn. I had not been paying attention to the internet all day, really.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny, like, that you didn't notice. Like,
I don't really use Facebook. Like, every once in a while, like, I'll post something, but I'm not like heavy duty on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm not either. I mostly just use Facebook. Yeah, I use Facebook to talk to other Yu-Gi-Oh people mostly, to be honest. Like,
yeah.
And to like,
oh, shit.
keep up with family members, even though like it's more of an obligation, I feel like, than a want to, if that makes any sense.
See, it's really nice for me to like get pictures of like my nieces and nephews, especially with the ones who live out of state that I don't get to see very often.
Mm-hmm.
So I love using it for that reason. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I just wish that my grandmother would stop following Fox News.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I love following my siblings because they more so post family-related things and like photo albums and stuff, so I get to have my daily dopamine of seeing my kids and everything, and then be like, oh, cute, and then go about my day. Whereas when it comes to a lot of my uncles and aunts, I tend to unfriend them or just kind of make it so I don't see their posts because it's very much politics, drama, and getting arguments. I remember I used to regularly have an uncle who would bully me on Facebook.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm not for that. I like having, maybe a few other people. For the most part, I just like having my siblings on there and keeping up with the babies in my life and seeing Twilight memes. That's what I use it for. So
there you go. So it's basically like, whereas I use it for Yu-Gi-Oh, you're like Twilight memes.
Yeah.
There we go.
Baby pictures and Twilight memes.
Well, if you like baby pictures, I have a 3-year-old niece coming to stay with me soon, so.
There you go. I got 13 kids right now, and we're going to have 3 more on the way, so the Smiths are good at multiplying, and, I'm just here along for the ride.
Living up to the nickname of rabbits, right?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. I was going to say, it was the thing that I think really frustrated me is that Instagram also went down because pretty much everything was like owned by Facebook went down, and I was like, man, I really wanted to like post some Yu-Gi-Oh stuff today, and it just I couldn't. And now I'm like, oh, whatever, I'll just throw a picture of my pizza out there because that always gets a win. And the thing that I wonder about is there was like, I don't know if you've been paying attention to the news at all, but there was like there's been like 2 major things that have come out that like 2 major stories that came out. So the first story is actually related to Facebook. There was a whistleblower who used to work there who talked about how they are like openly admitted at like board meetings that they care more about profits than people's safety. Like there's like emails and stuff
surprising.
Like that. Yeah. And they're talking about how like how you mentioned like you have those uncles who are always like political and stuff. Apparently Facebook shows them that stuff on purpose because
it keeps
easier.
Engagement up.
Yeah, and apparently the easiest emotion to draw out of people is anger.
It's fear.
Yeah.
Fear and anger.
Yeah, so basically.
Yeah, I didn't know about all that going on.
Yeah, so, but it's just interesting to have it confirmed by, like, you know what I mean? Like, because Facebook would always cop out and say, oh, the algorithm just shows you what you look at, when the truth is that's not what's happening. They're deliberately showing you something that's going to make you angry so you'll engage with it.
Yeah.
So, there was that whole thing, and so I think, and then, of course, there was also what is it called? I just saw it on YouTube. So it got the Pandora Papers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For all the rich people's documents getting leaked on how they're... You tagged me in that video, too. That was how I originally heard about it.
Yeah, and I've been seeing, like, other people or places are talking about it, and I was just going, I just wonder if if maybe Zuckerberg's on that list somewhere, or like if there's a way to trace him to it or something, and he's just like, quick, shut down everything. I wonder if that was like, I'm just saying, a story where a bunch of, multi-millionaires, billionaires, and up are hiding their money in other countries, and I'm going, you're going to tell me Zuckerberg ain't on that list somewhere, probably? I mean, I wouldn't shock anybody, I bet.
Yeah. I don't know. That kind of stuff just always makes me get really, I guess depressed is the right word, because it just feels like there's no real answer or way to fight it. And for me, I can't even get into that mindset of just caring about nothing besides money.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like, I can't relate to somebody who'd literally be willing to have their employees not be able to afford basic health care or food, and have to pee in bottles because they don't give them proper bathroom breaks even.
Yeah.
And still be hoarding money so you can afford another yacht. And it's like, you literally have more money than you can even use, and it's disgusting, you know. For me, I don't understand that. Like, my first priority, if I had that much money, would be like, oh cool, I can take care of my family and help, you know, the lower class not be in a situation where they can't even afford basic things like healthcare. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. It just feels gross to me because it feels like there's no answer, and the problem just keeps getting worse and worse as time goes on, as the wealth gap gets more and more extreme, you know?
Yeah. It's definitely a stress-inducing problem, that's for sure. But I think the positive side is all the stuff being exposed, because, like, that means now the governments of the world can actually start to go after these people and say, look, you either pay up or you go to prison. And because you have to remember, the other thing about the Pandora Papers is it's not just American millionaires and billionaires. It's a worldwide thing. Like, we're talking people from royalty and presidents from other countries, and it's that's why it's such a big thing, because it's like, it's not just American rich people doing it. It's rich people from, like, every nation on the globe doing it. So it's like, oh, now that we have you exposed, you know, maybe there's something we can do about it as we go.
I hope so. I don't know. It just feels kind of like you're just announcing what everybody already knew anyways. And it's just kind of like, okay, cool. Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
You know, I just have one more thing to feel depressed about today. Thank you.
Well, I was thinking that would give you some hope, because, like, a lot of these times, like, I mean, like, we already knew the rich people were doing this. Like you said, we already knew. It's just having that confirmation, having a name and a face to that bank account, you know, that's been hidden in other countries. Like, did you know that actually other countries embezzled their money in our banking system?
I didn't know that detail, but I guess it's not too surprising.
Yeah, well,
usually they don't care. Rich people can do whatever they want.
I just thought it was weird. Apparently there's presidents and, like, kings and stuff buying up, like, you know how we already knew about the whole land thing, where, like, you know, rich people were buying up you know, cheap land, so it would make it impossible for, like, poor people to get it, you know. Turns out it was not just rich people from America doing that. It's rich people from other countries doing that. Which, you know, fun fact, that also means that, like, you know, if our government was inclined, they probably could use eminent domain, seize that property, and put it back on the market at a lower value if they wanted to do something just. But, you know, that's even with someone like Biden, that's still a toss in the air there.
I don't see anything like that happening in the foreseeable future, but, you know, when it comes to change, it's usually has to just be small and persistent in order to get anywhere.
Or extremely violent. And that's not good either.
I mean, it usually doesn't lead to any long-term success, if history has anything to say, but usually it just means the next evil person gets a chance to take over everything. But I don't know, it would just be nice to have things at least a little bit fair, and it always just baffles me. You just have to be a different form of evil to care so little about humans or just life in general. It makes me feel so sick when I think of how easy a lot of our problems could be fixed if the people who had power and money just did basic things to implement change, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, I'm going to pay my employees a livable wage. I'm going to make it so healthcare is affordable, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they could do that, but they just don't care.
Yeah.
And it's just gross. It's gross.
And most of the people in our generation would just be happy if they were well off. You know what I mean? They're not. Nobody in our generation seems to like want to be like stinking rich. We just want to have our bills paid.
That's me. I wouldn't really want to be rich. Well off would maybe be nice, but it'd be nice to not have to worry about how you're gonna pay next week's bill. It'd be nice to go spend time with family, and it feels like you're constantly in this, you know, hamster wheel, because it's an endless cycle of work, because there's no way to survive if you're not working your life away, and it feels like you're also wasting all your time doing things you hate because you can't afford to live as is. And it's insane that a lot of us will literally be working full-time and have barely any time to ourselves, and we still don't have enough to get by, and it's depressing, and it makes me upset because I'd like to see these things start to get better, and it seems like lately it's getting worse. And, you know, I'd like to see things better for my kids, not worse. You know, I have this basic thing, you know, called empathy, where I care about more than just my generation. But, you know, that's one thing I usually love about, you know, seeing time go on, is see things change and get better. And it seems like lately the opposite's been going on, you know, where things are getting worse, and that's a real bummer.
Yeah, so. a little bit. Only a little, though. Only a little.
You know,
I'm kidding.
I just know so many people like having kids right now, and I have, as I said, we're talking about having nieces and nephews and stuff, and I would like to leave a better world for them, and it just seems like there's so little you can do to make that happen, you know. I'd like them to not have to waste their whole life away working, or even just have a little bit more than I did.
Oh. I think that's what everybody wants, you know what I mean? Like, most normal people, you know, they want the next generation to have it better than them, you know what I mean? And is it just me, or does it always feel like the boomer generation, especially, like, they kind of hate that? I feel like they're like the opposite of that. They're like, well, I had to suffer, you have to suffer. And then you like actually read a history book and you realize they didn't actually suffer that much. They're just, you know.
You know, I'm all for, like, hey, let's make sure our kids aren't lazy and entitled, and, you know, teaching them things, like, basic things, how to take care of yourself and work. But this whole idea that, you know, kids are lazy and everything, it always weirds me out. Like, it's like they can't remember that they used to be a kid at all.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times it's not laziness, it's, you know, just wanting basic human rights, you know?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's really interesting for me because I sometimes forget how old I am until I meet, like, high schoolers and middle school students now.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives me some hope because I've seen them. They seem to be a lot smarter and ahead of where a lot of the students were when I was a kid. And things like, I would have never seen kids who are like 13, 14 being openly gay or liberal, at least especially in our area. And I see that now, where they just feel comfortable being more expressive and they're not mean to each other. Like, that was something that was really happy for me to see. I was able to see, like, a whole group of preteens and young teenagers. They were all nice to each other, and I know it sounds like not a big deal, but for me that was a really big deal because I knew these kids went to the same high school I went to, and I know the big difference it's probably made them so much different than how things were when I was a kid is because they have access to things like the internet, which makes it easier to form your own opinions and kind of see where you land on things.
Yeah. And
I think that's going to make the next generation of kids a lot smarter. I already see my niece Bella a lot of times calling me out on crap of me being outdated, and I love that. You know, I want her to educate me.
I think that the internet is the greatest double-edged sword that exists. ever edit. And the reason why I say that is because it is a double-edged sword. Like, on the one hand, you have all of that information, all these young people learning the things that their parents won't let them learn. Like, you and I grew up in religious households. We kind of know what it's like to, have certain topics, shoved under the rug so that we don't learn about them at all. You know what I mean? And I don't mean like too early. I mean at all.
Yeah.
So
no, trust me, I know.
yeah. God, that's for the audience. That part's for you and I know.
Have a few you don't have to say anything, but I have a few stories I could say for people who don't understand how bad it is. We don't have to get into that right now if you don't want to, but
yeah,
I have my stories for sure.
I just was gonna say on the internet thing, like, so because you and I grew up in religious households, and thanks to the internet, I think that you and I got to, like, use the internet as our education tool to get out of the mindset that our parents and grandparents were in, and for so long, and for my mom couldn't get out of her own head, couldn't get out of her own way until she went to college and got a science degree. Then she, she's an environmental scientist now, by the way. So just for, gotta brag on my mom, go mom. She, she, she literally went, and she also went when she was older too, like literally, like, my sister was starting to graduate, was in her last few years of high school, and my mom went back to college, so it was kind of funny, like, we were all getting out of school and she was going in. And most of us were all college students at the same time, so that was kind of funny. Anyway, the point that I want to get at is, like, for my mom, it took her going to learning about the environment for her to kind of, make little concessions that let her get out of her own way. And, I wouldn't say that she's a progressive, like, say, you or I, but she's definitely at least a liberal, and that's better than where she was, so.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I was going to say is, like, whereas the kids, and you and I got to use it a little bit later in life, but as the younger people, like you said, they already have this tool. They grew up with this tool. So they're already learning all that stuff that maybe their folks who are overtly religious,
You being cutie.
I have a sidekick.
I don't want to move the camera because it might make the internet bad, but mine are being cuddly. They just won't be presentable like he is.
Yeah. He likes to sit in the armchair.
Cutie butt.
But, like, and the young people have their, and I love to see that's what young people are using the internet for. Like, what the point that I was going to say of the double-edged sword is kind of like what you and I were referring to earlier. With I think we were off screen when I mentioned this, about, like, when Facebook being down, like, there were jokes about, quick, while all of your grandparents and parents can't go to Facebook and see Fox News, go get them vaccinated.
Oh no, I didn't see that joke. But
yeah,
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. So it was just like, like we were talking about with Facebook, it's just kind of like that's where the double-edged sword is. Like, yes, it's the younger generations are using it to get all that information, and it's all a lot of it's factual information, and, like that kind of thing, so, and then of course, but then at the same time, our grandparents are just using it to find information that fortifies their already existing opinion.
It's a mixed bag of nuts because, like, as I said, I'm very happy that the internet's been a thing for a lot of the younger kids because I think they're a lot more educated, smart, and have better empathy skills because they're able to talk to people from all walks of life, get perspectives. Like, TikTok has given people a way to have a network. But it's also been a very big issue when it comes to trafficking and getting preyed on because it's a lot easier to do things like that through the internet. Mm-hmm. But for me, I still think that in the end, that should be up to the parents to do basic education, and you're going to get that either way. So, I don't think that's the internet's fault. I think that's people's, and I think it should be parents, making sure they're seeing what their kids are doing and not just,
Like
not
12-year-old
doing
me
their
who was looking at
job.
hentai way too early.
Yeah,
Buttons.
and here's the thing. I, for the most part, until I was in my early teens, didn't have access to the internet, and I still found ways to get into stuff I definitely shouldn't have. And that's going to happen, but you should just be there as a parent,
Yeah.
to talk to them about that and not shame them so that they feel comfortable going to you when it comes to things like that,
Yeah.
And I think that's more the answer, because the world is a sick place, and you're not going to be able to protect them from everything, but if you're at least a safe place for them to go to,
Yeah.
they'll be
I
more
think,
comfortable letting you know when things that are going on that aren't quite right.
yeah.
I think people don't give kids enough credit.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think that was kind of one of the issues with, like, the Gen Xers. I think the Gen Xers, like, their thing is they kind of they didn't want to really prepare us for the next thing. They wanted to protect us. And it's not to say that isn't admirable, but preparation would have been a better, I think, a better tactic than protection. Like, you can protect your kids to a point, but there's eventually at some point you have to start preparing them for the real world, and you have to let them see, hey, it's not always a good place. But when you're a parent, I think, and this is just an outsider looking in, of course, because I'm not a parent, obviously, but I just think that, I'm just looking at my parents, the way they raised me, and looking at the things that I think could be done better. I think that it would have been just better, if they had prepared me for some things, and some of that stuff's not their fault, like, how could they prepare me for things that they weren't educated on,
Well, there's things that are changing so fast, too, like problems we are having to deal with that weren't even a thing when our parents were growing up. Yeah. So obviously, like, there's only so much you can do. And that's why I say I think it's more about helping your kids feel safe coming to you, because you're not going to be able to control what happens to them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest problem with a lot of, religious families that I've seen as well, is the game was always to protect, but it would get to a toxic point because you're getting to a point where it's sheltering and you're just not teaching them about the things that are going on in the world.
Yeah, and that's
assuming
they had
and then
good
it's
intentions.
Like complete shell shock. And what happens to well, at least with a lot of people that I grew up with, they end up completely abandoning it because there's so much trauma connected to it, and they go through a lot when they finally enter the real world because they aren't prepared for any of it. And I truly think it's a huge mistake. And things like when I finally got to public school, I had such a hard time because they don't want to teach you about things like evolution or anything that might take away from science, and like all the books you read are either very clean kid books or they are the Bible. And I never had a good grasp on English because it was either literally Dr. Seuss or intense old English. And that was the only reason why I was able to at all comprehend Shakespeare better than a lot of the other kids, is because I was somewhat used to old English. But for me, like, basic regular reading materials used to be really hard because my brain just didn't even function on that. And that was like a teenager going into high school. Little things like that, because it's like, oh, I can't have my kids exposed to things that might take them away. And I still can't do basic science stuff because, we can't teach them anything outside of creationism because it might cause doubt.
Oh, you want to hear something funny? Did you know that there's a creationist museum in my small town?
I know there's one in Kentucky because my parents have gone there multiple times.
Yeah, then in my small town, there's a creationist museum, and I think I've never been to it because my parents actually weren't all that religious growing up, but my grandmother was, and we spent a lot of time over there because of reasons that I won't discuss here on the YouTubes. But I know as a kid we spent a lot of time at grandma's, and basically she was very religious. Like yeah, it was hard to be at her house sometimes. It is what it is. The point that
Yeah.
yeah. I'm just trying to back up your point. That's all I'm trying to say. It was just
No.
yeah. I think we should go to a more fun topic if you're open for that idea. This was. I think we've had enough of the doom and gloom. Let's talk about something that's a little more fun, but still in the realm of doom.
Oh man.
We're gonna talk about the Disney Plus controversy that's been happening with the Marvel What If series. So, Carissa, this is just gonna be a warning for you. Spoilers. This is your
Oh
spoiler
man.
warning. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I won't go into the details of the story, but
Okay.
basically I'm going to say that I'm going to talk about a character that exists. There is a character that is a version of Ultron, which I'm sure you're familiar with from the Marvel movies. Um do you remember in the Marvel movies when he was creating the Vision body, it was for himself. You remember that, correct?
Vaguely.
Okay. So this this episode of What If was the whole like story of like what if Vision, or Vision never existed? What if Ultron had won? Basically, was the what if there, and I won't go into. Yeah, it was like okay, what would happen if Ultron won? And it was interesting. It was an interesting episode, and of course, you know, what ifs. The cool thing about the What If series is it's more fun. So like there's a lot of continuity errors and things like that, and the biggest one that's like a continuity error is that like because at one point Ultron starts in the Vision body starts wearing the Ultron body like a suit of armor, like Iron Man, which is kind of funny because you know Iron Man is kind of like his dad, quote unquote, in the you know, they kind of have that, they jokingly make that to be their relationship. He's like, don't compare me to Stark, you know. Anyway, so it's just kind of funny that in the world where he won, he's wearing his Ultron armor like a suit of Iron Man armor. Anyway, he eventually gets the Infinity Stones. You know what I mean? And it's really funny. The people who have seen this will know what happens to Thanos. That was just funny.
Say anything to me.
I can't. I don't want to spoil it for you. I know that if you watch it, you're gonna be like, boy, shit. That's exactly what you're gonna think when you watch it. But for me, it was just funny. It was just like, what? In 2 seconds, took a whole freaking army and a robot. This bullshit. Anyway,
Baby girl.
In the episode, Vision gets into a fight with Watsu, the Watcher, and Watsu is this like god level being. He's got all these powers, but he has this rule about not intervening.
Okay.
It's kind of this rule, even though it's really funny because he always ends up intervening in the comic books. Like anytime you see Watsu, just know he's about to intervene. It's like that's the funniest thing. I'm a watcher, I don't intervene. And then the next issue,
Would be me if I tried quitting coffee.
Exactly. It'd be like if you took an oath to never drink coffee, and then every time you show up in the story, you're drinking coffee.
I have
what?
an addiction.
It's decaf.
No, it wouldn't be decaf. I'm a monster.
I believe it. But, anyway, the big controversy is that Ultron gains such power because he got all the Infinity Stones, right? He's so powerful that he starts, you know, he's pretty much destroying everything. You know what I mean? Not just the world, he's destroying every other planet, too. Like, you see him literally wiping out planets and stuff. And it's like, okay, that's believable. That's... Oh, why are you so needy? Why are you so needy? Huh? Why are you so needy? Oh, now you're running away. I see how it is. He ran away.
You know there's a cuter girl on the screen.
What, are you embarrassed? You're embarrassed of me? My first son's embarrassed of me.
I mean, it wouldn't.
Oh, that's it. I'm gonna shoot you with my Nerf gun. Anyway, so Ultron is using the Infinity Stones, right? And Watsu is narrating what Ultron is doing, right? because that's what Uatu is. Though the Watcher is, he's basically the narrator of the what if story, and Ultron's like, "Who said that?" And next thing you know, he turns around and the Watcher's like, "Oh shit, he saw me!" And he starts poking around in other universes, and then Ultron shows up behind him, and he's just like, "Aha! I found you!" And that's the thing that's the controversy, because the Infinity Stones aren't supposed to work outside of their own universe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's the big controversy. It's like, well, then how is he doing all this stuff if the Infinity Stones don't work? So my theory is that they're attached to the armor that Ultron is wearing, right? So my thought is that, well, the armor is from their native universe. So what if Ultron is kind of cheating by making the stones power the armor, and then the armor's doing all the stuff? That's like their comic booky answer, is what I'm thinking.
Snowball, come here, little man. Come here.
Anyway.
Thank you for gracing me with your cute presents.
So, in other words, Karissas' response is, boy shit.
I am not that intense into Marvel lore, and I feel like I don't really have a stake in this fight.
I really don't care, you know what I mean? Like I said, the what if stories are supposed to be more for fun than they are for, like, an actual story, you know what I mean? Like, they're more fun than a serious story. No. That's why a lot of goofy stuff happens in the what if universe. Like, they did one where it was like, what if T'Challa, the Black Panther, instead of becoming the Black Panther, what if he became Star-Lord? You know, for the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, yeah, what if T'Challa replaced Peter Quill? So, and that was just a pure fun story. Like, in that universe, Thanos became a good guy.
Sorry, they're all being rough right now for some reason. I'm trying to knock over my stoof.
Okay, well, since you don't have any input on the Marvel thing, and since I mentioned something about Thanos being a good guy, I think that should lead to the next topic, which is something I wanted to talk about, is what makes the best fictional heroic characters. And, do you want to go first, or should I?
You.
Okay, well, I was going to say, what I think is the best fictional heroic characters is, for this topic, and this one was inspired by an Instagram post I saw from another mutual from TikTok, and she was doing some audio that's very popular, you know, the "hello, it's nice to meet you," you know what I mean, the "can you tell me where I am," you know, like that whole song. I don't know, it's been big in D&D TikTok and cosplay TikTok. They've been doing that.
I guess I'm not on there enough then. Sorry.
Yeah, it's basically I don't remember exactly the rest of the audio, but the idea is like the captions for video were talking about, like, do you think, I feel like this audio makes me feel like I'm a neutral character. I could go villain or hero. And then I made the comment at her about, like, what I thought the best kind of characters are, and then I was like, wait a minute, that's a good idea to share on the podcast. So I was saying that the best fictional heroes are heroes that used to be villains.
I could agree with that one. Yeah.
I don't know why. It just fascinates me when you have heroic characters who are like, when they realize they're on the wrong side of something, or something in them changes, and then they're like, oh my god, and then they like go through this whole like journey to become a better person. Like Zuko from The Last Airbender is a good example for, and I'm using Zuko specifically.
Oh, he is the best written character ever done in history of anything ever.
Yeah. Like, and he's just the perfect example of what I'm talking about. Like, there are other heroes, like, you know, I think Spike and Angel from Buffy the Vampire Slayer are also examples of this. The Green Ranger.
Talk about him a lot.
I like them.
I have an obsession. I think you have a boy crush.
I like the Angel universe. Okay, leave me alone.
I know. I know. I'm just picking on you.
My second crush was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Leave me alone.
Sure. It's Buffy and not Spike. Say what you want.
See how it is?
I know which ones you talk about often, so.
I'm sorry, but the crush was actually for Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Okay.
Back when she was Buffy. And And then, of course, if you guys want to know, my first crush will always be Kimberly, the Pink Power Ranger.
That's embarrassing.
Says the lady with a Twilight poster. I don't think you can judge me.
Oh, you think that's embarrassing? I'm sorry. We are in a Twilight renaissance. It's back. It's okay to like Twilight again. So.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Whatever helps you sleep at night. The point that I'm getting. But there are other ones, like you actually go into Marvel too. Wolverine and Deadpool are prime examples because, like, in the beginning of their stories, they're bad guys too.
Yeah.
So, just gonna say, like, there's tons of Harley Quinn, another example. There's tons of alternate realities where she switches from villain to hero.
Yeah.
And I actually think I think she makes a great heroic character because, especially with her relationship with the Joker, overcoming that abusive relationship is just like such a heroic and real story. You know what I mean? Just put in a super heroic way, and that's the reason why I like villains, is because, like, I think that there's a lot of people who can relate to being on the wrong side of even a political issue, present company included. Oh yeah, I told you I used to be very conservative and used to be very dumb.
I don't know what his obsession is. He's bathing me.
He just wants to show you he loves you.
He's going in.
He's just like, let me clean this. Anyway, so now I've gushed enough about how I like former villains turned heroes. Your turn.
Me?
Yeah. What's your favorite heroic kind of character?
You know, I haven't really thought about that question before.
Yeah.
So it's the type of thing I could probably change my mind on in the future.
Yeah. Megamind would be another example, by the way, of mine.
Yeah.
Just if you wanted one that was more for your universe.
I don't know when it comes to archetypes. I would say I prefer heroes that aren't quite so hypocritical, but I would say I'm not even super into heroes. I like anti-heroes better, if I'm being honest. But I don't know if that counts as a category still.
Yeah, well, I mean, like,
I more so like characters like Poison Ivy and Catwoman and people like that. I'm not as much into the heroes.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, like,
as much as I love Batman, he's
also.
I still think he's a very flawed character and needs a lot of work.
I think that's the reason why I think some of these characters are so popular, is because they are so flawed. You know what I mean? Like when you think about it. Yeah, when you look at like Edward or Batman, even both of those characters are very flawed, and in that they are flawed is kind of, I think, might be what makes them so popular, is because they are good guys. You know what I mean? Like intentionally, they are good guys, right? But they both do problematic shit. Like, let's face it, Batman.
You don't say.
Like in the case of Batman, you know, like, come on, training teenagers to fight crime in bright outfits.
That's the thing that's annoying, because I see a lot of potential in the Batman characters, but when they're having him do things like this in the canon universe, it makes me not like him very much, and it feels like he needs a little bit of a makeover character-wise. Well, that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I think that's why they're doing the whole family thing, like in that one episode we talked about it. Like, I think that's one reason why DC was doing that, is because they're kind of like, well, you know, like, there's this whole family aspect to it, so there is that, you know, so I think it's their way of trying to make him a little less dark and edgy.
Yeah. I would love a less dark and edgy Batman, and I'd like one where him and Catwoman can just be married. That'd be really cool. Always are teasing it.
Yeah. I was gonna say, on the subject of since we were talking about the Batman thing, and we were kind of talking about how, like, some people are kind of like get bothered by the idea of, like, the young, like, the teenage kid superheroes and things like that. Do you think that that superhero, like, duos get a pass when the young person has superpowers, like, say, like Kid Flash, as opposed to, like, someone like Robin?
I definitely think it makes a difference, because they actually have more of a protection, whereas with a lot of the Robins, they have no superpowers. So you're just putting these actual children's life in danger, which seems a little weird. And it's one thing if he was just training them and maybe like taking them like on smaller things like, okay, kid, come on with me to a bank robbery or something.
Yeah.
But he's having them do these really intense battles with him, and it feels weird to be adopting kids with the intention of making them crime fighters.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing if they end up deciding later on their own, and some ones they do that, but it just feels weird that he keeps collecting these kids like they're stray cats and training them, and it's like, why are you only adopting boys too? That seems a little problematic.
Actually, he has adopted a few ladies, actually, a few times, but
Wow.
but the few that the Batman has adopted are off, so they're like older. Like I think it's like Cassandra Cain or something like that. It's one of the Batgirls. There's been a few different Batgirls too, not just Barbara Gordon. There's like 2 other ones. There's like an Asian girl who is like who can't speak, like she's mute, and then there's a blonde-haired one who eventually became like who was a Robin at some point, too. And they've in the universe, you know what I mean. And then of course there's Duke, who's the first like person of color in the Bat family.
See, maybe I just haven't been properly keeping up with the canon verse, because whenever I've seen it, he basically has all
black-haired boy Robins.
Black hair, and it's really weird, like this weird obsession with collecting young boys that look exactly like him. And it's like, why are you doing this? It just feels like a weird thing to have him do.
Yeah. You know what's also kind of funny is like it's actually canon in the DC universe that Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne kind of look alike. Like they're they just look alike, like as people. Like the only thing
I don't know why they did. They always did that in the cartoons, and I always thought that was just because the artists weren't great at like doing different looking type people. But then it was just something they decided to do, and I don't know that that's supposed to represent them being like brothers or what.
Yeah, no, it was just a funny coincidence is all it really was, because like the writers had nothing to do with each other. They just both Superman and Batman happened to be like dark haired, and around the same height. So like there's actually there was a new comic that was talking about like, the early days of Superman, where Clark Kent got mistaken for Bruce Wayne at a party. So, and it was Bruce Wayne's birthday party. So a bunch of like Bruce's friends, like, a bunch of rich kids set up this party, and then like one of Bruce's friends like, look, all these people gathered here. I know you're not Bruce Wayne. Just pretend to be Bruce Wayne for a day. You know what I mean? Enjoy the free booze and, and party it up just for these people's sake. They don't really know Bruce. Just, that way they don't feel like they've been slighted because he didn't bother to show up to the party. And so Clark Kent ends up on this yacht party, and then the funny thing of the story is Deathstroke has been hired to kill Bruce Wayne. So he puts poison in the alcohol to kill Bruce Wayne, right? That's actually Clark. And Clark drinks it, and instead of killing him, it just makes him drunk. Because alcohol doesn't actually affect Superman, right? So the poison actually made him drunk. He's like, look here, mister. And then so Deathstroke tries to kill him. And he's like, look here, Mr. Pointy Stick. Go away. And then he like slaps him. And then he goes flying. And like, you know what I mean? Deathstroke goes, ah! It's just a funny comic. Like, literally, that was the only action in the entire comic, too. It was like literally like 3 panels of like Deathstroke like tries to stab him. And Clark is just not having it because he's drunk. He's just like, go away. Slap.
Come here, boy. You keep yelling at me and looking at me. You have the ability to jump. Meow.
Yeah.
Meow.
He's just lucky he's cute. Hi, Snowball. Where's your brother, little Hipster?
Little Hipster, he's doing a nappy right here.
Little Hipster, such a scale.
Yeah, that's the name. Gonna get me canceled.
That's the best part about it, is the audience has no clue. The inside jokes are the best jokes.
Poor sir. He can't choose how he was born, what he looks like. To be born into a Jewish family and have a face like that. Oh, man.
Well, anyway, but you were saying, like, you really like anti-heroes.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like the actual heroes don't have a lot of that. because I feel like there's gray areas, and a lot of the, as much as I love characters like Superman, it feels like they don't have any kind of way to balance it out.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, you know, a lot of the anti-heroes come from darker past, you know, things
like Deadpool and Harley Quinn.
I'm
As
not a huge
popular
Deadpool
examples.
person. Not that I dislike the character, but I don't
Yeah.
consider that to be like one of my favorites. But
Yeah, no, I'm just
I
using
really
him
love
as an
characters
example
like
of what we're talking
Catwoman,
about.
where it's like, yeah, she's stealing stuff, but she's stealing stuff from rich assholes to get by and survive, you know?
Yeah.
But I guess it also depends on, like, which version. You know, because obviously there was a lot of the old cartoons where she was just, like, a silly character who stole diamonds because she liked diamonds, but, you know, that's not usually the versions I subscribe to, you know?
Yeah, you like the little more like comic booky versions, where they have a little more leeway with her character.
Because I more so grew up with the cartoons and stuff that were serious, but still, like, usually kid-friendly.
Yeah, that was something that was always kind of interesting about the Batman cartoons. They used a lot of symbolism for things. You know what I mean? They didn't flat out say stuff. They would be like, you know, like, oh, this is what I mean. You know what I mean? Like they would use like Clayface. I think his story was like kind of like a symbolism for like drug addiction. A little bit.
That makes sense.
So, you know what's like? That's one thing I really like about Catwoman and Batman is like they are these like non-powered individuals that keep up with superpowered ones all the time. Like Catwoman too. Like, you know, I've literally seen her go like, you know, toe to toe with like, you know, people like Poison Ivy who actually have superpowers. You know.
Well, I think that's one thing that makes their relationship so great is, in some ways they're a lot of like, but in other ways they're exact opposites. So I feel like they have enough in common to understand each other on a base level and relate, but also are different enough to the point where they push each other to be better.
Yeah.
You know, especially with her versus him, you know, being this struggling poor person on the streets having to do what they can to survive, to kind of be somebody to slap the other person upside the head and be like, hey, you're beyond privilege and you're not, you know,
I'm still waiting for that.
Your power. And I would,
DC really messed up when they didn't marry Catwoman and Bruce Wayne.
It's this thing where it's like they have to have him be miserable, and it's like, okay, I don't care how much you're going to make Batman a ladies' man. We know Catwoman's endgame, and I find it really silly to not do that. It's just, I don't know, it's frustrating, and I would love to see that version of Batman where he gets his proper therapy and learns to live with his trauma, you know, instead of just, I gotta be dark and mysterious and live in the shadows, you know. And it can still be a thing where, like, you can still talk about dealing with trauma and mental health issues while also not having the attitude that, like, your entire life is doomed because of it.
Yeah.
I think that's a really bad message, and that doesn't have to be true, you know?
Yeah. I think that's another thing that's, like, that separates Batman, like Bruce Wayne, from all the Robins, too. Like, especially because, like, a lot of them are now adult heroes now. You know what I mean? Or almost there. Like, I think you have Tim Drake, who's, like, almost an adult now. And then you have Jason and Dick, who are adults now. And they are very different from him as superheroes. You know, like Nightwing and Red Hood. Like, yes, Red Hood is also the violent... is the violent equivalent of Batman, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like, he's Batman if Batman was like, I'm sick of your shit, I'm just gonna end this problem. Like we all want him to do with the Joker. Like, this is the reason why we all like anti-heroes a little more, I think. It's because, like, just for guys like the Joker.
Would be an interesting thing for, like, Catwoman and Batman, for her to be like, hey, you know, you would solve a lot more problems if you did just kill... Like, I feel like that's the difference between a hero and an anti-hero, as well as things like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, as much as I like the character Batman, I'm on the side of killing the serial killer, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there's only so many times the Joker could actually get out of Arkham, do all this chaos, and start the cycle over again before you have to go, all right, he's somehow he always gets out. There has to be a way. We're just gonna have to end this. Like, I mean, honestly,
right.
Like, after he crippled Barbara Gordon and drove Jim Gordon crazy, you know, for a little bit there, like, that should have been enough for Batman to say, okay, I'm ending this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying,
It's
like,
one of those things, it's actually done because if they did just kill Batman, then, kill Joker, then they wouldn't have, like, a main villain to go back to, and people love the villain Joker, so of course they don't want to get rid of him, but it doesn't make any sense to also do that because you have way more problems keeping him alive than you do solutions, and it's a silly thing, but...
It's kind of it's kind of, that's the thing about it. Like, we all want Batman to kill him, you know what I mean? But at the same time, we understand he can't do it because of not because of anything story related, but because Joker's just that popular of a villain.
Yeah, see, I think what would work better, is if, maybe just the fight was a little bit harder so he didn't have the opportunities to kill him versus him truly just being incompetent and not seeing that you're going to be hurting way more people keeping him alive, but...
Yeah, like if the Joker was, like, also his combative equal, too.
Yeah. But then again, I don't know, it is, an important part of Batman's character, and I kind of like the idea of him having something like that, where because he's around all these crazy people, he doesn't want to end up like them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, as much as I disagree with him, and I think that it's a really silly mentality to just be like, yeah, I'll let the serial killer go free and keep torturing everybody, it's also, you could see, like, because of the circumstances he's been in, why he'd be afraid too. So I think that could kind of be an interesting thing where he's more afraid of becoming a monster than he is of monsters, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that could be an interesting thing to tap into a little bit.
Yeah, there's just so many things they could do with Batman to make him not only even more interesting character, but a more in-depth character. Like I like that idea. Like the idea of, like, he is, like, that is his crippling fear is becoming a monster, and that's the reason he doesn't kill. Like, but Batman's
that would be really interesting.
Yeah, but he's never said that. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Like, DC should just hire you already.
I know, I'm perfect. I know how to fix all your characters, and I'm just way smarter than all your college-educated people who, like, went to storyboard school, because I just have the ideas. I didn't even read all the comics, but, like, I know the characters well enough to know what they would do more than you do.
I'm just saying, like, you have some interesting ideas.
Universe.
Like, think about it. Like literally, like, think about it. What if Batman literally goes to a therapist? Like, because it's actually canon, like, in some stories, that he has a therapist that knows he's Batman, that he talks to.
That would be awesome. That, like, having just, like, a faithful therapist. Like, I would just love to see, like, the Batman universe be a pro-therapy story. I feel like that would be really great.
Yeah, like, and that was, like, there's a therapist in the Titans universe right now. And I know the Titans isn't exactly canon or anything, but in the Titans universe, Batman forces Red Hood to go see a therapist. And this is, of course, when he's still Robin. And this version also, I think you would like this version of Batman a little bit better, because he decides, like, because after a lengthy conversation with Dick, he kind of decides to conversation with Nightwing, you nasty. With a conversation with Nightwing, he
he's a bad father. Imagine letting your kid still have that name after you adopted them, and you have the ability to legally change it.
There's no winning.
What an asshole!
His name is
Cancel
Richard.
Batman for not changing his name.
His name is Richard, which still doesn't work.
That's not any better.
I know.
Imagine that.
His name is Richard Grayson.
Your name be a slang for a male appendage. That's just cruel. It's like he wants him to go get bullied so much that he becomes a supervillain. I feel like I think Batman deserves to be canceled for that.
Well, to be fair,
that's child abuse.
When the character was written, that wasn't a thing. You know.
I know. I'm obviously joking, but I can't take it seriously.
Oh no, you just hear Dick Grayson, you go, uh-huh. I'll bet it's Grayson.
Dick is Grayson. What's he Grayson? This is a new thing. Is this a new? I don't know all the kids' new slangs for things, you know.
Well, Carissa, you're very familiar with Dick gracing his presence. gracing you with his presence.
You know, I don't understand what joke you're making, and I feel like I don't want to know.
Oh, you know. Don't you lie to me.
Is this a Jude joke?
Yes.
Okay.
He's...
Some people deserve to be publicly shamed.
It's like, yes. I'm glad you did get it. I was like, come on. That's like the most obvious pun on the planet now. Especially with what's been happening in your personal life.
What can I say? I am a magnet for the gentleman, apparently.
Oh,
The more you say no, the more you get the thing you said no to.
Yep. More Nightwing pictures. She's so tired of seeing pictures of... Oh,
Imagine saying no thank you, and then repeatedly, and then 3 different times getting more pictures. I don't understand. I don't understand how much of your brain has to be broken to just do that anyways. But
yeah. Speaking of Dick Grayson photos,
that's a dead horse.
Speaking of Dick Grayson photos, we should move on to the next topic. You wanted to talk about Veggietales.
Veggietales. Well, I love talking about Veggietales, and you were asking for ideas. I'm like, well, I'm always down to talk about Veggietales.
I was like, all right, I wrote it down. I thought you maybe had something. Was there like a parody or something you were talking about that you saw, or?
No, I think Veggietales is an interesting topic, and as somebody who was always really enthusiastically into it, and I think it's also interesting breaking down, you know, where it could be problematic, which is kind of funny to say because it's a show about talking vegetables.
Which is funny
right
because
now,
one of the characters is a fruit.
A lot of the characters are fruits, technically.
Oh! In more ways than one. Ha!
Woo-hoo! I don't care what anybody says. It's canon that Bob and Larry are gay lovers. Nobody just lives with somebody for 10 plus years and has co-hosts. And I'm sorry, they are constantly bickering at each other like a married couple would too.
Just like Bert and Ernie.
You can't tell me. And we all know Larry is top, and that's why Bob puts up with all his shenanigans because his game is good. That's canon.
Canon. Does it remind you of
I got my Bob right here. This was the first thing I got off of eBay. That was like junk thing. It was either this or one of the Furbies, but this was the first Veggietales thing I got off eBay. My Larry should be around here somewhere.
That's all right. I brought Larry.
You got your Larry?
I got Larry.
Yeah, and then I have the Pirates of the Caribbean themed Larry, which is exactly 1 year younger than me. So these guys are vintage toys. This one's 1999, so this one's the exact same age as me. So you could say Bob goes after the younger guys as well, you know? If you know what I mean.
Oh, goodness.
It was so funny because when Carolyn and I put together our first like care package for Bogey, he just shook his head. He knew right away which stuff I put in there because he's like, Veggietales, and I was like, what do you mean? You should be grateful. He's like, Carissa, and I was just like, how did you know I did that? It's like, of course I know you did that. It's like, listen, everybody needs to have a Bob and Larry in their home to protect them and bring them peace and joy. You know? A home isn't complete without their own Bob and Larry.
Yep. Now remember though, don't send unsolicited Larry pictures. Okay, we don't appreciate that.
Are you sure? Do you remember when I messaged you really late at night with a Bob figurine saying, hey, what's up, sugar balls?
Why are you looking at me like that?
It was a while ago, so I would understand if you didn't remember. But
I remember. You sent me a picture of the candy upside down.
Yeah.
I remember.
Nice.
Nice.
Traumatized men back.
Just that reminds me of that joke I saw that's going around on TikTok, or it was all like, "I don't believe in mommy and daddy issues. Traumatize your parents back."
That was the joke. Traumatize your parents back. I love it so much. Oh, Carolyn also got me this knitted Larry from Etsy. Etsy, so I really love how cute this is. You know, this little handmade thing. So cute with little beady eyes. But yeah, for anybody who grew up loving Veggietales, most of us can say we all very vehemently hate the Netflix show that was created, Veggietales in the House, and then the later on one, Veggietales in the City, that was like a reboot of that one. Absolutely awful, but right now I'm not sure if you know about this. They're bringing back a lot of the original creators of Veggietales, and they're gonna reboot the show and have it go back to its old animation format and try to get a lot of the original voice actors, animators. So even though I'm somebody who I shouldn't be necessarily in support of children's shows that are designed to indoctrinate kids into a religion, I'm really excited for it because I love Veggietales. And I feel like they get kind of a pass in my book because
I think everything we like is problematic in some way.
Good lessons and using it. Well, that's kind of my thing. There's a lot of stuff that I grew up with that I wouldn't want to like have my kids get right into without any kind of disclaimers, like things like Adventures in Odyssey. When I've gone back and re-listened to it, I think there's a lot of not so great things, and also there's one episode, I didn't realize this, where they were trying to say that Dungeons and Dragons was like a satanic thing, and the kids like were playing Dungeons and Dragons and they brought out like a satanic spell, and it was ridiculous. So that's gonna create like unnecessary trauma for kids. But for me, like I would definitely show my kids Veggietales, and I don't know if that's hypocritical, but that's just the truth of it. Partially because I want to watch Veggietales, but I think it's like an easy way to like let them learn Bible stories and some of their Jewish heritage without fully forcing them into any which way, but just letting them have the option. Because Veggietales less like in your face than a lot of other kids stuff that I grew up with when I've gone back and rewatched it, where it's more like, we're gonna tell a cute story rather than you're gonna go to hell, you're gonna burn forever if you don't accept Jesus.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how bad a lot of the stuff was till I went back to it later on with my nieces and nephews, and I was like, holy cow, this is not great.
Oh, ow, 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 ow,
traumatizing.
Ow. Let go. Ow.
He needs love. What are you doing? Give it to him.
I will give him love, but he doesn't have to scratch my pectorals to get my attention.
Yes, he does. You gotta be snappy about it. He needs love now. Come on, get to it.
He's getting it. He's getting it. He's like, look at him. He's just happy as a lark right now. Just, oh, my dear.
I don't know if you have any opinions on Veggietales. I know you grew up with it too, but
I have some. I don't know. I didn't really care for it as a kid, to be honest with you. I mean, I thought Super Larry was funny. And that's about as far as it went for me.
Super Larry? It's Larry Boy. You don't even know the proper name.
Yeah, well, you know, he had suction cup ears, and that was the fun.
Oh, you're hurting me so much right now.
He's like, I'm Larry Boy, or however it is he talks. Yeah.
I am Larry Boy.
And the costume was kind of fun.
I am that hero.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely, like, I don't know, I stopped watching it when it was really popular, like, you know what I mean, I was older, and I grew up with more violent stuff, to be honest. Like I said, like, you know,
I'm too busy watching Yu-Gi-Oh! To watch a show where everybody loves each other.
More like Power Rangers for that time frame, but yeah.
Ugh, even worse.
It's morphin' time.
Power Rangers.
I'm sorry, I have class. You know, you'll catch up eventually. Oh, sick bird. I'm just kidding.
You can't hurt me with that one.
That was funny. I don't care what you say.
Okay.
Okay. Larry is judging you right now.
It's so funny. So there's a TikTok channel that I found that does like a lot of like they use like Veggietales format as, you know, a way to do like parody things, or just like they started using that as a way to learn animation, was creating little clips of the Veggietale characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I really got into it, and then he also does like different Chuck E. Cheese themed stuff, which I really love. Like I love creepy old animatronics. So I got really invested in his channel, and also through like stalking the TikTok page and basically like binge watching everything, I found the YouTube channel, so I subscribed to that as well. And I didn't realize that, but he ended up, I guess, subscribing back to me, and I was like, oh, cool, like, I'm really interested in this stuff. And then he just insulted my video, kind of. It hurt deeply, because it was somebody I actually would want to, like, hang out with and chill with, because nerdy about some of the same things I am. But, the video I made where I was joking about the tragic backstory behind the Water Safari knockoff Chuck E. Cheese animatronics? I basically was just joking around with Carolyn and Bogart with that one, and then he was just like, I thought this was going to be actual information about the backstories of these guys. I'm very disappointed. And I was like, I don't know how serious he was being, but I was like, it hurt a little bit inside, because I was like, oh man.
He was disappointed.
It's such like a weird niche thing to be into, is like Chuck E. Cheese animatronics and Veggietales. And I got real excited for a hot minute, but I got a disapproval, and it hurt.
He's tired of your shenanigans. He wanted facts, and you brought shenanigans.
Wanted facts. I was looking forward to the facts of these animatronics. I'm like,
There you go. That's your next thing now. You better learn history now of animatronics.
I don't know how I'm supposed to look up the history behind these guys. Nobody like goes to Water Safari to see the animatronics in one of the food eateries.
All right, you're gonna Google like history of animatronics in general.
You know what? I will try my best to see if I can find any history, and if I do, I'll come back next week and let you know.
I was kidding.
I'll be a little bit more prepared, but I don't think there's going to be much of anything on them. I've done a lot of history deep dives on the actual Chuck E. Cheese animatronic history, but
my goodness. Chris is going to come back with an entire dissertation on the history of animatronics in the United States. I'm gonna be like, I was kidding the entire time.
Have you seen the play clips of the Veggietale theater thing that was going on?
Mm-mm.
Oh man, I know you can't add video clips in right now, but if you ever can, that would definitely be something worth getting a live reaction to. Is the Veggietale play things that were going on in the early 90s when Veggietales was at its peak. They did a play of it, and you could probably find it on YouTube. We had it on the VHS tapes where they had the special features where they were showing what they were doing for the play version of the Great Wall of Jericho, and it's terrifying. Oh my god, it's the worst. Oh, I love it. They were also going to do a VeggieTales theme park, and they had so much stuff in the plans for this franchise, and then it just died. Because of poor decision-making skills, and it's just too bad. I just want to see I want to be in the parallel universe where instead of as high-pumped of a Disneyland, there's an equally popular VeggieTales land, and that's where I take my kids to instead. And it just makes me really sad that never happened. I want my VeggieTales land where it's just a theme park of these really creepy giant vegetables walking around. Some beady eyes.
Krista just wants to ride a giant Larry like a roller coaster.
That sounds bad. I don't like what you did there.
I said like a roller coaster. Where did your brain go? Wait, don't answer that. Never mind. I don't want to know.
Listen, Bob and Larry are very happily married.
The other... I'm leaving that alone. I'm gonna go
What
on.
if one of these times I just brought VeggieTales smut to you and I read that aloud instead of having an actual topic?
Oh, then my
I still
channel's
have the
gonna
links
die.
to the original VeggieTales smut.
My channel would die really fast. It would just be like, oh, you're putting smut on YouTube? Banned. It'd be worse than TikTok.
I can try to cut out any swear words or anything that would be risque and just imply things.
No, absolutely not. Oh my god.
I could find other interesting forms of smut, like, I don't know, cars or something, whatever your heart desires. Mike
Well,
Wazowski.
are you Lucifer now? Whatever your heart desires, Daniel.
I'm just saying, I've got things I could pull out, and I would love to bring really weird VeggieTale stuff to the table. And Labyrinth. You said you're interested in Labyrinth.
I want to
have
watch
a
the
lot
movie.
to say about the Labyrinth.
I want to watch the movie. I haven't seen it in a long time.
I'd be interested in what you would think of it. I'm going through the process of rereading the book right now, so I can get quotes and stuff.
I just want to know where it's
because I originally wanted to do like a
It
review
used to be
of
on
it.
Netflix, wasn't it?
It was? I didn't know that.
That's what I was asking. I thought you knew. That's what I was asking you. I'm gonna Google it now. I'm curious.
I have a DVD copy of it, so that's how I have it. But I'm sure there's other places you could get it.
Yeah, I just wonder what company has it.
Have to do a Google because I'm not sure.
Oh, it's just called Labyrinth. Let's see here. It is on. Oh no! Go back. There we go.
That's what my shirt today is. So.
It's very rude to.
You didn't see this trailer? I made a joke about it on TikTok I posted because you know that's the knobs and they say it's very rude to stare, but the knobs are now where the boobs are, and it's the quote.
You know, I think you showed me the shirt a long time ago, but I forgot, and then you were wearing it, and I was just like, it's very. Oh my god. Okay, that was funny.
I was really happy because for a while this tank top was discontinued, and then Wish made a knockoff version of it for like $3, so I bought it right away. And I have zero regrets about that decision. All right, I'm very happy I did that. It was not a waste of money. I love this tank top.
According to Google, it is on Netflix.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it is on Amazon Prime. And it is on Vudu, but you have to pay like $2.99 if you buy it on Vudu. And Vudu is basically like an internet library of DVD. It's kind of like buying DVDs. It's just that it's... Yeah.
I have a Carolyn's account, probably still on my computer from when we were watching Willy's Wonderland.
Yeah. But there you go. Movie night. You get your DVD, I'll get Netflix, it'll be good.
Well, that'd be something worth doing. Go watch Labyrinth, and then we could talk about that next time, because I've got a lot to say on the Labyrinth if you're interested. I could talk about Labyrinth all day.
Okay, that's our next episode, guys. We're just going to talk about the Labyrinth. Yeah. Let's do it.
And until somebody says anything else, and or I will keep talking about Twilight if people don't suggest other things, because I don't get sick of talking about Twilight. So
speaking of Twilight, let's bring up parody movies. I don't know why Twilight brings me the idea of parody movies.
Because the Vampire Sucks clips have been going around a lot.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. That's like the last topic we had written down. We were talking about parody movies and ones that we like and dislike, and I can't remember exactly what you were on in that conversation. But it was pretty funny, and we were talking about things we thought were funny and things that ones we couldn't get into. So
you were talking about not your average high school movie, I think.
Yeah, the one where Chris Evans ends up wearing the whipped cream bikini, and I just thought it was funny that Captain America was wearing a bikini, which I'm sure all of the muscle lovers out there are just like, yes, pull up this picture, please. I'm just kidding.
Hey, you're the one doing all that stuff. I'm just here. If you want your pictures, you got to pull them up. I don't have those abilities. I'm a cameraman.
Oh yeah, make me do it, right? Because I'm the wizard. I was kidding. I'm not gonna pull up that picture. I would like my YouTube channel not to die. Thank you. Because YouTube is how dare you dare to mention the word nipple? You
won't
bastards.
Even let me read Veggietale smuts aloud. So obviously you're just a coward, and I'm just gonna. I'm
protecting their. I'm protecting their virgin ears. Okay. my audience of adult men can't handle it.
Yeah, but they're so innocent. You better protect them.
Yeah. goodness.
This is why you'll never be a girl boss. That's all I'm saying. Doesn't even want live readings of Veggietales smut.
That'll be in the next episode. Chris is gonna twist my arm and say, "Look, we're putting this on there, or I'm gonna send you unsolicited Larry pictures."
I think that the next thing I'm gonna start doing is every time a fella sends me
a Dick Grayson picture,
a Red Hood picture, I'm just going to save it on my phone and then send it to the next guy who sends me a picture. You know.
Well, since you showed me yours, here's mine.
Yeah.
What's that dude just...
You knew about the Petco guy, right? Remember when that was going on? When I was working over there and there was that guy who was creeping on me pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
And got the number of, and eventually he was asking to see a picture of me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was with Carolyn and Bogart, and Bogart took the phone and took a picture of him and sent it, and was saying that was me, and he got really angry about that. It's like, I want to see your face. Show me your face. I'm like, no. So that's the less extreme version of that, is showing them a picture of another guy. But,
Yeah.
I feel like I should step it up and do straight up Larry pictures. I feel like that would be in response. Here's a Larry picture.
It's just a picture of Larry. Literally, it's just a picture of Larry the cucumber.
Kind of get it going. Listen, I'd say this one's about not quite 5 inches. It's probably the accurate, male genitalia, Hey, what's up, girl? It's nice to see you.
Oh, no.
It's also always flaccid, the average male as well, so. See, this is what they think it looks like. This is what it actually looks like.
Oh my god. Oh! This is Karissa Roasting Men Hour. That just needs to be a segment. It's like Karissa Roasting Men.
Men who don't send unsolicited pictures. Guys who do. At this point, this one almost looks like it could be.
No! Stop! Oh my god. I'm leaving that in, by the way. I'm just gonna let that disturb me.
Hey!
Showing Larry's Larry over there.
I'm going to pull up the Veggietales smut, and I'm going to start reading it.
Oh my god. Well, on the parody stuff, though, I was talking about how, I don't know. I liked the Not Another Teen Movie or something like that. I thought that one was kind of funny. I thought Scary Movie was funny. I didn't...
See, I first saw it, but I've heard a lot of people say that one's really good.
Yeah, I didn't really care for all the ones after it, but Scary Movie was pretty funny. They make fun of the Scream movies, I think. I don't know. The ones with the TikTok audio. Oh no, Mr. Ghostface, don't kill me. I want to be in the sequel.
I wasn't sure what that was from, but I've seen a lot of ladies use it.
Yeah, I think it's from actually one of the Scream movies. Because they go at one point in the movies, in the Scream line of movies, they actually go very meta with it. And, there's a movie made about it in the Scream universe.
Oh,
and, so one of the ladies doesn't think she's about to die. She's like, oh, no, don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel. And then he actually kills her, and she's like, oh, God, I'm actually dying, So it's just kind of like a funny moment in a horrific movie.
I've actually seen every single one of the Nightmare on Elm Street's movies because my sister had that huge pack.
Oh yeah.
So I could go into a little bit of detail on that. That'd be a little bit more Halloweenish.
I like those movies actually.
I have very mixed feelings. I like it better than a lot of other ones, but I would still say it's not something I would enjoy watching. But the last movie they made with any of the original cast. Mm-hmm. Was really weird because it was about the main actress who was in the first movie in real life, and and then the director has to keep making fictional movies about Freddy Krueger or he comes to life in real life. So then because they stopped making Freddy Krueger movies, it made it so he was real in real life and was haunting her and her son, and she needed to go back and make another film in order to stop him officially, and it was just so weird and meta and just it was bad.
Yeah, there's just
weird.
some examples of that where that just doesn't work. Like the Scream movie, I think did it okay because they were kind of making fun of themselves. But like that movie was like serious. You know what I mean? They're trying to be serious with a very like, are you kidding me topic.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not somebody who's really into horror movies anyways. But I can enjoy a good thriller, but I generally don't like horror, especially when like the whole thing is based around like the killing scenes and random boob shots. It's just very eye-rolly for me.
Would you say that that's more boy shit?
That is what I would definitely call boy shit.
There is, I can't remember which Nightmare on Elm Street it is, but there's one Nightmare on Elm Street where, like, it's established in, like, the third film that, like, you actually have power in your dreams. Just nobody ever beforehand exercised it, you know? Which is, like, you know, like, so if you, in your dreams, you're actually just as powerful as Freddy, it's just you have to exercise it. But there is, like... So there was this one guy in a later movie who really liked comic books, right? So in his dream, he turns into a superhero, and he's all like, eat lead, you know, and he like unloads into Freddy, right? And Freddy dies for a split second, and then like Super Freddy pops up. Like it's Freddy Krueger, and he's got like a muscle suit, and he's like got a black cape on. And it's like... And then, but he's like legitimately a horror, and he's, you know, he's like literally killing this guy who's in his superhero form in his own mind, and it's still not enough.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of fun.
Those movies like are very hit and miss.
Yeah.
To be honest, I know this is a very unpopular opinion, but I liked the remake movie more than any of the originals.
That's it. Cancel her on Twitter. Link in the description.
Sorry. I know it is an unpopular opinion, but it is the truth.
Yeah, you like the more like the more interesting, like where they like drug their kids so they'd forget kind of thing. What happened, or something like that.
I don't remember that being in there, but
you're talking about the remake of Freddy, right?
What?
You're talking about the remake, right? Where they have like where they had like Freddy Krueger as a gardener or whatever at a preschool at first.
Yeah.
Like I think that they gave their kids like drugs or something to help them forget, so they wouldn't remember what he did to them. And then like
I don't remember the drugs being there, but generally they were like really young when it happened.
Or hypnotism or something. They used like various methods to make them all forget, and then slowly they started getting their memories back, and then that's when he pops up in their dreams, right? Am I remembering that wrong?
It's been a while since I've watched it, actually, so I don't really remember the details of it. I just remember it felt less like it was meant to be this thing where it's mocking teenagers and you're supposed to enjoy watching these teenagers die, and it's more a thing where you want to see them survive, and you're scared with them, and it felt like an actual, it was a thriller rather than a horror where you're not supposed to enjoy the torture. You're supposed to feel scared with them.
Yeah.
And for me, like, actually having him be an abuser rather than just sort of alluding to it makes him a much scarier figure, and I feel like it makes it more of a allegory for things that people actually go through rather than just sort of like a throwaway joke idea.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, one of the things that in the first one, I don't think it's really... It's more implied that he was just a murderer, not an abuser, right? In the first line of movies?
Yeah. They kind of allude to, like, him abusing the kids, which could mean, like, torturing them or just, like, anything under the sun. And but they don't...
They don't specify.
They don't weigh on that, whereas the remake really goes over how traumatic it is. And then that could also make it up for interpretation whether it's actually these kids getting killed versus them going through mental torture because of what happened to them. And for me, I find that much more of an interesting way to look at it, where it's people trying to get through trauma together, and how, you know, as somebody who has very severe nightmares, I find those movies really interesting, because there is kind of this endless loop of torture when it comes to having
trauma,
your dreams not being a safe place, because you need to sleep to survive. And when sleeping, which is supposed to be your time of rest, is used as a time to bring out the things you're most afraid of, it's horrible. And generally people who have gone through abuse like that have the worst type of nightmare. So I thought that was really, it was a nicer way to do it, where it was this small group of friends that all had this, you know, similar past, and it didn't feel like they were using that as a punchline. Whereas the originals, I just always found that really gross with horror movies, like them, like just this whole thing where it's like treated as normal to have these series that are about teenagers getting brutally murdered, and it just feels so gross. And especially since women are generally targeted towards most of the violence, especially if they're at all expressing independent sexuality, it's seen as like something that has to be marked down, and it's like, oh, you've deserved this because you dared to fool around with your significant other. And it just feels really gross to me. And I didn't really think about it that much when I was a teenager, but when I look back at this stuff, the things that I used to watch as a teen and a preteen, I just think it's really gross.
I think that's done on purpose, though. Like, it's to add, I think it's to add to the horror, isn't it? Like, because, like, it's the horror genre. It's kind of supposed to make you uncomfortable. That's why they always talk about all the different kinds of, like, when you look at the vast majority of, like, horror movies as a whole, you know, they all have stuff like that. You know, they all have situations that make you uncomfortable. And I think they're designed to do that on purpose. Am I wrong? Well, or do you think this is, like, subconscious?
No, what I'm talking about is the type of horror movies where the horror is made out to be a joke.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing I really don't like about a lot of the Freddy Krueger, Friday the 13th, those type of things, where it's meant to be a visual gag rather than something that's actually scary. That's why, you know, I can enjoy things like Thriller because there's a purpose to it, even if it's disturbing. But things like that.
Oh, kind of like what I was talking about earlier with the kid who likes superhero stuff, and then he's a superhero in his dreams.
Yeah,
and
I don't like that. Yeah. I don't, and maybe it's because of the people that I knew. But there was, at least my boyfriend in high school, it was kind of just really disturbing because he was really into that stuff, and I just see him kind of act like it was fun and cool. And, you know, when you get together all their guy friends, it's like, oh, we have the video games where, you know, you can choose all these different characters and just watch them get torn apart. And to me, I just always found that really disturbing, the wanting to see these innocent kids just get tortured, especially when you consider with Freddy Krueger, like, if you're going with the interpretation of these kids being traumatized kids because they were being sexually abused, and you're supposed to be like, yeah, that girl was a slut, you go kill her, dude. It's just disturbing to me. Okay. I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. I think some horror stuff, when it has something to say, can be good, but a lot of that stuff that was made to just mock this stuff and pick at it, I just think is really gross.
Maybe this is why when it comes to horror movies, I prefer like creature features. Like, you know, like you have like there's always the axe murderers or whatever, like, you know what I mean, like those kind of guys, like what's his name, like Michael Myers or whatever, or Jason. I don't really like them. I prefer my horror movie to have like an actual monster. Like, you ever heard of like Critters?
What?
You ever heard of the movie Critters?
No.
Okay, it's a very old horror movie. Basically, it's an alien that is literally, like, you know that the joke on my Yu-Gi-Oh channel, I'll turn you into a Karibo? Alright, you don't remember? I've showed you a picture of this this cute fluffball monster before. It's in Yu-Gi-Oh. A critter kind of looks like that, except it has like a big open mouth with a giant rows of teeth. And basically what critters do is it's a fur ball. Like, it's literally no bigger than like a basketball, right? but it eats everything. Everything. Like dirt, metal, food, regular food. It eats everything. That's like the horror of it, right? Like, the scary thing about the critters is if they multiply enough, they will literally devour an entire planet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the horror of them. And like, so there's like a handful of these things, these aliens that land on Earth, and they're like attacking a farmer and his family. And like the boyfriend gets eaten like by these fluff balls that are like barely bigger than this Larry doll, you know. So it is kind of like humorous in that it's ridiculous. Like, that's the humor in it for me. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my god, you're telling me that fluff ball is like, and like literally like they were like you're like watching like handfuls of them not die to like getting shot by shotguns and things like that. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it's just kind of a interesting movie or line of movies, because it's just, it's an animal basically. It's a evil animal from outer space.
Right.
Or Gremlins. I like the Gremlins too, and that one may not necessarily be considered a horror movie, but
Oh gosh, have you seen the Gremlins sequel?
The number 2 one, yeah, where they're in a TV station.
Weirdest thing ever created.
I agree. Like, some of them are just so wacky. And I don't know. I also like It a little bit. I like the It movies, all of them.
Those are very hard for me to watch, but I definitely think they're good. Oh my gosh! Quit it. Sorry. She's being a grumpy puss. Anything that involves, like, kids being in danger is very hard for me to sit through, but I think that's what makes it so good, and I think especially with the newer remakes of It,
Yeah.
Once again, unpopular opinion, I like the remake better.
I actually like them both. I actually like the original one with Tim Curry, but I also like the new ones with, the newer actors.
What is your problem?
I think they both have their charms, you know what I mean? And they both have actors that I really like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there's like, like the actor who plays It is in this what was it called? It's a Netflix show. The actor who plays Pennywise in the It movies he's in this like vampire werewolf show that's on Netflix. I can't remember what it's called now. I'm gonna look it up now. I think it's like Wolf something or other, maybe? I can't remember. Let me type in, is it vampire? Maybe if I type in vampire, it'll pop up. I'm trying to remember. What is it called? It's a Netflix original. Oh, what is it? Help! I've fallen and I can't get up.
Sorry, they're being wrestly. You being wrestly?
Hemlock Grove. It's you know how you
Oh my god! Stop! You're being a pain. You're gonna calm down. You're gonna stop. Oh my god!
She's so whiny.
What? She's grumpy.
If you like suspense a little bit, you'll like Hemlock Grove. It's got a little bit of vampire and werewolf stuff into it, but like there's not like a lot of the violence is like off screen.
Yeah.
And more implied.
I'm much more of a story person.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You'll like Hemlock Grove because it's more like a mystery than it is like a stereotypical like vampire or werewolf show. You know what I mean? Like the vampires aren't actually vampires; they're like vampire-esque. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're actually not. They're actually called something else, but the beings have vampire-like traits. Is what I'm getting at. And then they have werewolves in Hemlock Grove, but the werewolves like are kind of like the Twilight ones, except they actually just turn into a wolf, not a giant one. So
see, I like that better.
Yeah,
I always found like weird like giant wolf thing kind of like
Yeah,
but that's just me.
Yeah, and there's also like rules to it too, like they're only supposed to transform on like a full moon. But there are ways they can do it outside of a full moon, but it has consequences. So like our one of our heroic characters, or I say heroic characters, I mean more of our protagonists, because all of the characters are morally gray, to be honest. Like all of them are. They're all in this gray zone. But one of the main character that's a werewolf is that's a protagonist. There's been a few instances where he had to transform to survive. And there's like this one like mobster in there that's like really friggin' like scary. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? Type of thing. Like he'll kill you, right? Like any other mobster, but like his warning shot, especially against guys, is he does he does the thing that they do to like farm animals, with the rubber band to castrate them.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know what that's called, but you get the thing. Is he does that device? I don't know what it's called, but basically,
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember either.
Yeah, like there's two of these henchmen that are supposed to get money from the werewolf or whatever, and they fail. So he takes one of their boys each.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and you literally like see them in the
That's
next episode
cruel.
holding their pants, like oh. And he's like, "Don't fail me again, because you've only got one left."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and he's a Texan too. That just adds to it. He's just like,
oh, so that's why you like it.
No, that's not why I like it. He's the scariest villain I've ever seen. I'm like, no, I do not like that guy. He's a villain. He's a real monster.
Okay.
There's jokes in there, I'm sure.
Say what you want to say. Sounds like, he knows how to get what he needs,
Well, our werewolf hero ends up, stopping him, so there is that. So I was like, it's almost as satisfying as Umbridge's death in Harry Potter. There are just some villains that are just, you love to hate them, and when they finally get their just desserts, it's yep. Do you ever have any villains like that in stories that you like when you see them finally get what's coming to them, you're like, yeah, that was satisfying.
Oh yeah, I will definitely enjoy violence when it's well earned. Like the movie Django.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. I haven't watched it, but I'm familiar.
There's some very gruesome scenes in that, and I fully enjoyed them because they were well earned. That's the thing is, I don't mind violence when it's towards well-earned people. But that's the difference between like something like that versus like a horror movie. I want to see these guys get the brutaled. I want to see that. No, I definitely, if I really hate a character, I love to watch them die in gruesome ways. That's my one exception. In general, I don't like seeing stuff like that, but if I truly hate the thing, then yes, I will be into it.
What's kind of funny is like I feel like Dolores Umbridge from Harry Potter is like the most hated villain in the whole series. Like you're supposed to hate Voldemort, right? But you just hate Umbridge more, I think, and everybody hates her like way more than they hate Voldemort. And the truth is, I think it's actually very much warranted. Like Voldemort is like your typical psychopath, like you know what I mean? Because like in Harry Potter, I know it's spoilers for you because you haven't seen all of it, but like Voldemort is basically like a wizard Nazi essentially. What I mean? He doesn't like wizards who were born into the Muggle realm, the normal people realm, the mundane, if you will. So he doesn't like it when a magical person is born to a non-magical family. So he's like, no, only magical people get to have magical babies. So he's very much like, yeah. So he's basically like that's the symbolism there, right? But Umbridge is on his team, so. She's like, obviously she's evil just like he is, right? Except she is sadistic. And that's the reason why I think everyone hates her. Like, because she's like, and she's kind of deceptive. Like, at first you think nothing of her because she's tiny, she wears pink, she loves cats, and cute things. Like, if you go in her office, that's what's everywhere, right? It's tea and cute animal stuff. You know what I mean? So you're thinking, like, oh, she's just a sweet, older lady. And then, later in the series, she forces Harry Potter to write lines, which is a punishment that is, has been done in schools for years. Or you're forced to write a sentence over and over again. Except the pen carves the sentence into your hand. As if you were so as you're writing, imagine the sentence you're writing goes across your hand. As if somebody took a scalpel, and then as you keep writing, the wound gets deeper and deeper. And then she forces Harry to write 1,000 lines with this pen. And one of the things is every time Harry Potter would say something that she didn't like that was true, she would make him write the line, "I will not tell lies." And I'm over here going, why does that sound familiar in the political sphere? Oh, it's a Trump supporter.
Oh, jeez.
I'm sorry, it's just a Trump supporter thing. You know what I mean? They get such a visceral reaction to something that is true. So they're like, no, you're lying. So anyway, that's probably why I think everybody hates Umbridge more than they hate Voldemort. Anyway, sorry, I went on a Harry Potter rant there for a minute.
Oh, that's okay. I haven't seen them, so I can't really add anything to what you're saying because I don't really have any opinions on Harry Potter.
So you're just gonna have to learn to bite the bullet and watch that boy shit.
I don't consider Harry Potter boy shit. I don't really have access to it, and
we need to fix this.
So I've only watched the first two as of this year because I had people freaking out that I hadn't seen it, so they're trying to get me to watch it.
I need Bogey and Carolyn's help. I'm gonna have to send them a message.
Harmless.
It's gonna be.
I don't know. I haven't been super into it. I feel like I'm too old to get into it now. It's one of those things you have to start when you're a kid, and I'm.
Oh, I don't think so. I think you would like it.
I'm not the right age to be indoctrinated.
Oh, God. I almost choked. Really? You compared Harry Potter to religion? Really? Hey, you two knock it
comparing it. Well, things like Twilight. I highly doubt I'd like Twilight as much as I did if I didn't start watching it when I was literally an 11-year-old kid. But because I did, it has a very nostalgic spot in my heart, and I was able to relate to the characters because I was younger at the time of watching it. Versus, now, whenever I try to watch something that stars kids or teenagers, it's hard for me to get into it because I just don't relate to that point in time anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of feels weird, like I'm babysitting when I watch stuff like that. And it makes me go into mom mode where I'm more so, just getting frustrated because I'm like, God damn it, they're fighting a monster. That's a child. You know?
It is on Netflix.
I'm too old now.
Sorry, I just came across the Labyrinth while I have Netflix pulled up on my iPad. I just came across it. I was like, what the heck? It is on there. How long has that been there? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. You were saying that you're just too old for Harry Potter?
No, that was basically it. Whereas, for me now, if I started watching when I was a kid, I would have probably gotten into it a lot more, but watching it as an adult, I'm, watching these little kids, and they're literally fighting monsters and dealing with abusive adults, and I'm getting angry.
Are you getting angry at them or the adults?
The adults, obviously.
Okay, I just wondered. I just wanted to clarify.
For me, I can't get into the whimsicalness of it because I'm getting into the parentness of it, where I'm who's making sure these kids are eating right? I'm a grumpy puss, and I want to see these children safe and well kept,
Such a mom.
Dude, I'm being honest. I'm too old. I can't watch a show about kids without feeling like I'm babysitting.
I feel like that's gonna that I'm gonna show you all sorts of things like shows, and you're gonna be like, oh my god, this is stupid.
I don't think necessarily they're stupid. I still watch kids shows sometimes because I'm babysitting, and I can be happy with the fact the weird show that Oliver watches that's about these buses going to school, but they're also school buses and they take other human kids to school. I can watch it and it can kind of annoy me because everybody's talking like this and blah blah blah, but I can still appreciate it because it's they're teaching them good lessons and not traumatizing the child, so I say it's okay, but doesn't mean I'm going to enjoy watching it. But I don't think it's stupid. I think it's doing a very good job with its target audience.
What if I want you to watch
sneaking
anime
lessons
with me?
in there. Ugh. Hate anime. Hate anime.
Come on, come watch an anime with me.
It's all squeaky voices and very sexist.
Damn it. I don't necessarily disagree on some of them. Some of them are very much like that. Okay, well, we'll look for the ones that aren't borderline hentai. How about
I
that?
like Ruby. That's kind of an anime.
I think that counts. I think Ruby counts.
I like Ruby.
I was gonna say
I haven't watched a lot of the new stuff yet. I have a little figurine of the cat character. That'd be a fun cosplay to do.
There's a few that I like. There's Sword Art Online, Bleach, Attack on Titan, Soul Eater, Inuyasha. But those are like obviously like very like Seven Deadly Sins. Yeah, but they're very much like the combat plays a big role into a lot of them, so you probably wouldn't like them because like they're all trying to save the world.
I tried to get into like what is it called? JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, and because it was free on YouTube, and I just like kind of wanted to pull my hair out while watching it because it was just like it was just like all these really muscular men, and then there was females who giggled sometimes, and everybody talks like this, and I hated it.
Have you ever watched an episode of Yu-Gi-Oh yet?
No, never.
I'm gonna find it because I think it's on YouTube for free.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm gonna find episode 1.
It's
I'm gonna
also
send it to you.
It's on Hulu because you mentioned that, and I was like, the only way I'm watching it is if it's being recorded and I'm, and I can bully it while it's going on,
I just want to see I really want to see you your response to it, just personally. I want to see what you would think of it, because I know episode 1's gonna just be to you.
Cat!
I fell.
Look what you
Hey, you look tall from this angle.
Brat.
But
Alright, how do I get this thing back in here? Give me a second. Sorry. Alright, I'm just gonna set that there. Really broke it on me this time. You stinking butthead.
oh no, did he break your tripod?
It fell off because he knocked it on the ground just right. I'm using the little one right now because I don't have my headphones working, so if I'm too far away from the screen, the sound's probably going to be extra hard. And my god, stop it! Stop it! Not a toy. Well, kind of a toy, but
you need to
not that kind of toy.
flick him in the nose, be like, no! Ta!
Hey, this little man, I love him, but he keeps breaking all of my cords! You! Stop it! He's going after my laptop cords now, too. I'm like, cords half work because of him.
Somebody's about, you know what, you need to get a cat carrier and use it as a timeout box.
I've tried all kinds of punishments with these guys, and nothing works to get them to stop doing things. The squirt bottles, I'll usually banish them from the room. Doesn't matter what I do, they just go back and do it again anyways, all of them. Hermione's one of the worst ones, too.
She's a brat.
Just don't know what to do about them because I love my babies, and they're rats. Just do what they want.
Stop being brats and wrecking my shit. That's what you want to say.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of, she's trying to grace me with her presence, but I'm trying to keep her in there because it's bedtime and I need to get some sleep tonight because I've got work at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
Not looking forward to it.
Well, since you brought that up, I think it's time for us to wrap this up. We've probably been on here for a little
now
while.
That I've had the phone fall over 5 times.
Yeah, it's alright. If they made it this far in the video, they got a giggle out of it. So, is there any closing statements you want to make before we head out?
Larry is a top. Bob and Larry are soulmates and meant to be together, and Bob is the epitome of bottom energy.
And don't send your Dick Grayson pictures to anyone. Kids at home.
That would not be Unless it's consensual and you've agreed upon it, but in general, I would just say please don't.
Nobody wants to
Ladies
see.
don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't think gentlemen do either.
Nobody wants to see your Nightwing photos, okay? There's gonna be somebody who's like not getting the reference, who's gonna have like a Nightwing cosplay. They're like, nobody wants to see it.
You ever seen that meme where he's, guy goes up, you see the little cartoon characters, and the guy goes up to a girl at a bar and is like, hey, do you want to see my big cock? And she's like, ew, no, get away from me. And you see him go home, and he goes to his giant rooster and says, nobody ever wants to see you.
Oh, no.
That's so funny. Sir, why? You're the same one who broke my headphones last night.
Alright, guys. If you've made it this far, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and leave topics below. The next episode, we're going to talk about the Labyrinth, because we're both going to watch
That's
it.
decided.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it. So this will be a fan favorite episode for Karissa.
Stop eating my purse. You just gotta stop this. You see him?
Yeah, Polka Dot, knock it off.
Knock it off.
Alright, peace, guys.
Stop it.